Got it.
Live. Welcome to the Instinctive Influencers podcast, a show where influence becomes one of your tools for success. Now, here are your hosts, Brian Weber and Ed Haley.
Hi, I'm Brian.
And I am James.
James, my man. This is the Instinctive Influencers podcast. So thank you so very much. James is out on location. We've sent him into the field. He's reporting straight from another country. You sent me a message earlier, James, and you said, how many countries have we recorded in so far, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. This is 5 right here. Number 5.
Is that you and me or just you?
You and me. You and I together.
Okay, because I've only done 2 countries here in Korea. That's it.
No, you did 3.
Oh, you're right. Oh, yeah. And Afghanistan.
Yeah. You're ahead.
those were the lost files.
No, you're ahead for now. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. No, yeah, we definitely need to see that. No, so it's you sitting there eating, man. You never eat on show. What are you doing?
Long trip today. Lots of flying around.
Yeah.
And I'm having a cookie.
Yeah, one of them Lenny and Larry's, huh? The junk food of health food.
It's delicious. The apple is just amazing.
Is it the apple one?
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, you get the apple, and this is like the inner fat kid of me coming out. you get the apple one, and then you get a nice vanilla protein shake, and it's almost like you got like an apple pie and ice cream with it, you know? So it's, yeah, man, but it's not like you better put in some work, because that's a lot of calories if you add those two together.
It's a few.
Oh, it's more than a few. I'm looking at the back of that cookie wrapper. I guarantee you it's over 400 calories.
I'm not looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. No, hey, man, so you're out. You said you guys just had daylight savings changeover, yeah?
Oh, man, yeah. We need to get with the program.
Yeah.
We need to get the program and do it when everybody else does it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're tracking this. I think I mentioned it earlier, but like basically in the United States, Congress tried to look at enacting, like getting rid of it. And I saw a study about how everything equals out properly if you don't have it. So why do we still have it type thing, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah. But your day started really early today, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I sprung forward and I stayed up too late last night.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 4:30 comes very early when you just sprang forward too.
Yes. Like we had it last week before, I can't remember it, whatever. And I think it was over my spring break. And I definitely knew I stayed up too late. Because it was right at the beginning of my spring break school here. And I knew I stayed up too late because that next day I was like, why am I so, and it's like, I couldn't get my battle rhythm of getting up at 4:00 straight until the end of the week. And I was like,
it's not hard. It's not easy and it's not fun.
Yeah.
I felt good all day though, but then, man, you get on that second plane and you're like, and trying to read. Yeah.
I mean, what's even funnier too, man? Like we'd plan on doing this and you're like, yeah, I'll try another country. And I mean, you got your webcam up using your GoPro, and then you decided to use your Bose. We didn't get to use our normal recording, but we were able to jump over and hook it up with the Zoom, which I found has worked because I did it with John Bonilla on episode 102. But it's just,
we'll see.
Exactly. We'll see how it turns out in the end. Other than that, like, we're going to get into this topic today, Ed, and it's about like talent management. And talent management's been something that's been kind of on my mind a lot lately. Reason being, though, I think it's funny because I'm writing my final paper in the class I'm in. It's on talent management, because I'm in a management class. I had to go over a management topic, and I was like, well, to me, that's a good topic. And then on top of it, it's like, it's something that's very much associated to our daily life, right? Like talent management in the Army is a thing, I mean, I'm gonna hold back my opinion on the Army's talent management. I just want to talk about talent management. You know
Okay,
what I mean?
I'm glad you gave me that we're gonna hold back on that.
You say what you want, because I'm gonna go ahead and tell everybody that
Well,
the opinions stated on this show are not that of the Army, the United States government, or anything else. It's just our opinion. Thank you very much. Back to you, Ed.
no, I just, talent management is just something that kind of came into the discussion for us. Yeah, it hasn't been that long,
Yeah.
and everybody has growing pains. When you introduce a new concept, you're always going to have some kind of growing pains to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not. At least organizations I've been a part of, most of them are not very good at this.
I mean, you think about it. You're right, though. It's a concept that hasn't been developed enough, and I don't think enough.
It has some work.
Yeah, but we can't. That's the thing, though, Ed. We can't. Sorry, James. We can't confuse talent management with other entities, right? Like creating culture, looking for diversity, ignoring the bad sides of people, right? So there's so much involved with it, and to understand it. For instance, when we start getting into these instances, there's certain entities that have to be incorporated in talent management, but we can't forget about the other things. However, we can't let the other things override the talent management, which is the talent. Yeah. And the talent is extremely important, it comes down to the old saying, I want the best person to do the job. That straight up, that's what it is.
No. I mean, I can agree. I think the problem we have still is we have a lot of jobs that are associated with a position or rank, but somebody else might be more talented to perform those duties. Yeah. And we're still caught up on that's their duties, not your duties.
Yeah. And I guarantee you can speak to experience in this, because I think of an instance, I really do. And you're going to laugh because you're going to be like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I would say it was our last time in Afghanistan together, and you had that one platoon sergeant and you were running the warehouse, right?
Yeah.
To me, that was an instance of poor talent management.
Yes-ish. Because it's a lateral, right? It's a lateral. So those two positions are both, hey, these are sergeant first class positions.
Right.
But the overall mission, right? The mission is that warehouse support.
Right.
The platoon sergeant is kind of it's an enhancement. It's good. It's important. But the mission is that operate that warehouse.
Okay. So would you consider that the supporting, the platoon sergeant in that instance, the platoon sergeant is the supporting role to the warehouse NCO?
Should have been, yeah.
But in that same way, yeah, you're fine. In that same manner, you have to look at it. I'm lost. There we go.
There you are.
That's going to happen. It's probably going to happen a few times. I'm trying to use the webcam of the GoPro. Anyway, but at the same time, what I was getting from that, James, is that the relationship you had. So there wasn't as much of a supporting role that it needed to be at that time.
Right.
Yeah. And I think what we're going to do is when we start talking about some of these points, I think we're going to see that. Right. But let's not waste any time, man, because I know you got a cookie to finish. You're going to have to finish a paper just like I have to today. Got to get those turned in. And then on top of that, you got to go have dinner with your friends. Your coworkers who are there. I don't know how loosely you want to call them friends.
We say colleagues.
Colleagues.
My colleagues.
Your colleagues. You got to go have dinner with the colleagues. So here we go. Talent management tips and best practices. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these numbers and just kind of hit upon what we think about those. This was something that I'd found. Okay. A company came up with this, and obviously I deleted out a bunch of stuff from the script that we're going to kind of guide this story along about talent management, because it was really about like, hey, this is what this is. This is how our company can help you. I'm not worried about how that company could help. I just want people to be able to understand these instances. All right. So talent management tips and best practices. Let's say your company's success depends on your talent management initiatives and your ability to enable and support your entire workplace to do their best. That's that key word, best. As talent management is an ongoing process throughout the whole employee life cycle. We will now go over steps and best practices. And this is something basically that had to be mastered through the whole COVID-19 thing. So we know talent management probably was definitely a difficulty during that, but I think it's a difficulty period. So the very first thing I want to bring up is this whole invest in your employer brand. Talent management starts even before an employee joins your organization. In order to attract and bring the right talent to your organization, employers need to invest in their employer brand initiatives, creating interesting and useful employee-generated employer branding content and sharing it throughout their employer brand channels, such as social media and companies' career sites. Some of the most common employer brand practices. Others include employer review sites, such as there's this one called Glassdoor, as well as participation in the local events such as career fairs. However, employer branding is impossible without the help and engagement of your existing employees and without an alignment of your communications efforts. So what this basically is detailing, James, is that if you want to have a good talent management system, you have to brand that system that supports the employees, the people, the subordinate, those who are working in the organization. So what it makes me think of is the People First initiative we have within the Army, right? Are we supporting those individuals by taking care of their needs, the things they need from the senior levels all the way down through? We're not just, how would I say this? We're not just saying we're doing it, we're actually doing it. You know what I mean? And we're we're creating that, hey, the employees they're the quintessential element within our organization. That's what's important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what I'm thinking of, right, as I'm getting ready to start attending some of these job fairs, and I'm thinking, you go into a job fair and there's this guy and he's sitting at the table and he's got like a couple of stacks of flyers, some business cards, and he's on his phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go by another guy, and we'll call this guy B-Rye. And B-Rye is in there in a suit, in a tie, same table layout, right? He's got cards, flyers about the company, but B-Rye is speaking to everybody that walks by his table. Hey, how are you today? Hey, all right. Are you interested in, whatever it is we provide? B-Rye is interacting. B-Rye is building his employer's brand and attracting those people at the job fair that, man, hey, did you shake hands with that guy? Pre-COVID. Did you see the guy who was like shaking everybody's hand? Or, did you see the guy that was acting like a carnival barker or something unique to brand your employer? That's what I think about with this brand.
Yeah, it's creating a connection. It's networking. It's all those things. Like, are you actually coming out of your own skin? And I think this is very much an extrovert type trait. However, introverts and extroverts can do it. Does it make sense?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're communicating your charisma and you're communicating your enthusiasm about working there. And geez, if B-Rye is enthusiastic about working there, maybe it's a good place to work. Let me see what he's got to say.
I think you just hit upon the so what of that particular one, right? The so what is, hey, this person's interested in me and they're excited about this place. I need to see what this is about, and it creates attraction, right? And I think that's part of the whole idea behind, you don't just go out and look for talent. You actually have to, you have to find talent, evaluate it, and then ensure it's the right fit for the organization. But we'll kind of go through this. Do you have number 2 up there in front of you?
I do. And matter of fact, I'm thinking about it. And I think that my scenario that I just painted plays into number 2. Start an employee advocacy and ambassadorship program, right?
Yeah.
So employees who have the most successful employer branding strategies are the ones who manage to engage their employees in the whole process.
Yes.
They're the ones putting B-Rye out there. right? They're the ones like, look at this guy. They're not going, hey, you go out there, pretend to be happy. I want to invest in you where you're genuinely happy.
Yes.
And that comes across because people can spot a phony, right? And I think that's the importance really of the employee advocacy and ambassadorship program. And they're extremely useful when it comes to creating and sharing your company's employers branding content. And, and then this article that you're using, Brian, that you found here for us, 76% of individuals say that they're more likely to trust content shared by normal people than content shared by brands. So B-Ride is likely to reach 76% of more individuals.
Oh yeah, and then there's that 8 times more engagement with content shared by employees compared to content shared by brand channels. A lot of companies so let's say product brands. So I jumped into some ambassadorships for 2 different companies. One being Orange Mon, another one being Slay RX. And one's and it's more of like I'm a person who uses their products and goes out and I happen to do stuff. It's easier to connect with everyday people instead of superstars, right? So and when you create this ambassadorship program, it's kind of like, how do you get the employees to basically speak upon your organization and they can tell the good, the bad, the ugly. It's okay. What I do like, what I don't like, that type of thing. But I'm still going to use it or I'm still going to be a part of it. If I took advice from like Michael, like if an ambassadorship of like Michael Jordan, right? He's a superstar or Magic Johnson or anything. Like they're all superstars. Am I them or can I be them? Probably not, right? I'm ordinary. I'm just not that level of superstar. However, I see James is using this and it's helping him along. And he's like me. Oh, maybe I should try this. So it's a smart thing to do no matter what, because what you're doing is you're involving everyday people and you're not discluding, right? You're creating inclusiveness to your organization is what I see.
Yeah. And speaking of ambassador, there's other types of brand ambassador. So I have started inquiring about being an ambassador for Mission 22 because it's something that I believe in, I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And then when you go to an event, I'm going to be the one out there who's enthusiastic about this, who makes you say, what is Mission 22?
Yeah.
What is it? Let me find out what it's all about. And, maybe it leads you to get involved in the organization, do some volunteering, do some ambassadorship, whatever it is. So,
yeah.
All right.
And you never know where those will lead to too. So that's, hey man, that's a good program to be a part of, man. So
good. I'll count on you being out there with me, handing out cards.
I would. So the next one, number 3, is about be smart about job advertising. So when it comes to that whole talent management, well, you've got to seek that talent out and you've got to attract it, obviously. But at the same time, what's the message that, the organization is putting out there about this particular job? Even though some organizations have frozen their hiring efforts, and this was during that COVID thing, and then there still is, and it just depends upon where you're at. But job advertising is an important part of your talent management strategy. Written attractive job descriptions, job ads, and sharing them through the right channels such as social media, LinkedIn and Facebook. And you and I, we're both big fans of LinkedIn. It is a job / network generating social media that, you get your occasional whatever post on there, but most of the time, what the content I see on there is really useful. Job boards and career sites are the main responsibilities that fall under this talent management function. Similarly to the brand ambassador programs, your employees can be extremely valuable sources of new hires. You all probably know that referrals fall under the highest quality employees. Again, employees have a much bigger potential to reach a wider audience through the social media channels. This is why you should promote your open positions internally and make them easily shareable by your employees. Hey, I'm going to say right now, James, when I was recruiting, to me, referrals were the best sources to put a person in the United States Army. It was the easiest, because I didn't have to sit there and convince somebody that what they're doing was the right idea, was the right decision in their point in life. A lot of times when they walked through that door or they gave me that call, they were already prepared to say, yes, sign me up. Right. And that's because of the people that had already been already went through like basic training, AIT. And then they came back to me and sometimes they didn't come back. They were already at their first duty station, second duty station. And they're telling their friends back home about, hey, you want to try this out?
Yeah.
Is it for everyone? No. However, it's just like any job, man. Any job, like somebody may enjoy a job, and they like the job, but they don't like all the other stuff that comes with it. So they go and seek something else. At the same time, if an organization is actually doing a proper investment in this by using the right, advertising or marketing plan, which should be, you're going to attract the right people. And that's a big thing. Like LinkedIn is one of those ones where you see so much out there and you can search for jobs, you can do all these things, but what is it the employer needs to do? They need to be involved. It's not just, posting a job, but maybe actually like posting it, talking about it, getting people involved in it. Hey, does anybody happen to know somebody who would be able to fill this position? Things like that. That helps. Now, how does that affect us? Like, say, in our job? Well, if you think about it, as a senior leader, especially with us, we talk to other senior leaders and jobs come available for us. And it may not be directly, like, for instance, working in the warehouse or working in an aviation unit, but it may be some type of other leadership, supervisory role, management role that's going to help us diversify our employment portfolio. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's nice to get out of, that's the whole reason I took the job at the academy, James, because somebody said, hey, there's some positions available,
Yeah. And then, so there is a caution, right? Or a caveat.
What would you caution us on?
I would caveat that, for us, right, we have all these social media platforms in the military, and people go, hey, on assignment to Fort Drum, what are your thoughts? And so that's kind of, to me, a type of looking at the job advertising, right? So now I'm going to give you these negative inputs because I had a negative experience. Yeah. So the caveat is you got to be careful too, right? Like, you got to be like, okay, I need to form my own opinion, but that's good information, and I'll be aware of that. The other thing is, hey, the days of when you and I were kids and circling ads in the classified, your company's not hiring anybody if you do that. Yeah. Word of mouth is the most powerful advertising out there. B-Rye, happy in his job, most powerful type of advertising out there. Yeah. Right. And then he's on his social media, and it's not like, oh my God, I can't stand it. Why do I have to go to work today? It's, hey, I did this thing at work. My wife, I got this award at work for doing X, Y, and Z. Like, she puts stuff like that on her social media. That's an advertisement for AFEs and how they care about their people when they do things that are above and beyond. So,
yeah, no, exactly, man. And I think point 4 kind of hits upon that same thing, though. Like you said, you just can't put it out there. You got to actually get involved. I think number 4 is creating that an even in-depth involvement.
Yeah. So number 4 is choose the right new hires. So after you manage to attract people to your organization, right, through your advertising, you make sure to assess them and ensure they are the right fit for your organization. We talked about this when we did the Kevin Cruz great leaders have no rules, or what was great leaders have no rules. Hey. When we talked about that, it's part of that book. I don't have my library right here. I didn't bring it with me. So But we talked about that. We talked about the right person for the right job, right? Right. In the Army, I've seen it a lot of times, especially now, Brian, because I've had this experience of being on a senior level staff, right? Right. There are people, leaders, who are just not meant for staff work. In the Army, we call them knuckle draggers. That's not a knock on them, but basically they're more of a, I push soldiers to develop,
Yeah.
I'm not the guy making plans up here. I'd rather be the guy the plan comes down to and I push and make it happen.
Right.
There's people that's their talent. That's what they're good at. Same thing in your organization, the civilian sector, right? There's people who are meant for that job. My wife is very charismatic, very outgoing. She's meant for customer service. She is. She's absolutely. You put her in an office behind a cubicle, and she will be miserable for the rest of her days. Put her in a situation where she can talk to people and help people, and then see the joy she brings to people. That's where she thrives. So I think that goes into the whole choose the right new hires. Employers need to communicate in a personal and timely manner with their candidates to prove to them that they have chosen the right employer to work for. I mean, all right, I got the job, right? I need more than you just call and say, hey, you got the job. Okay, you got the job. Hey, you're going to start this day. Here's your orientation packet. You're going to do orientation for the first 5 days. There's a series of online testing. You're giving me all this information, right? And I'm going, wow, like they're really like pushing, like they want me to be part of this team. I feel value in myself. So I think that's I didn't read the whole splurge or blurb here, but I think I got the essence of it, Brian. Say you.
So this reminds me, I haven't listened to it in a while. I used to listen to EntreLeadership podcast. It's basically a podcast that's developed by Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey being that financial advisor guy that does, and some people are familiar with him, others might not. But one of the key things they used to talk about on there, and they try to give advice to businesses, no matter what. And it's about that finding the right person, exactly what we're, getting the right person. They go through a hiring process that I wouldn't say it's strenuous or that it's tough, but it is in a sense. Because one thing is, it's not one person or one HR rep that's doing all the hiring. They're not the only one talking to the individual. So one of the key things that I've learned from that was, so the manager who's supposed to be this individual is applying to that section or what that department, they're involved as part of the interview process. They get an interview with them. The HR person, they get an interview. Usually like a one step above the manager and a one step below, they get it. So there's multiple interviews that take place. And what he stated is you often find, like, first interview, second interview, they're able to kind of hide who they are, right? Or hide their talents. But when you get into that third and that fourth interview, they no longer have that ability. They're starting to mix things up. They're starting to, well, I don't really know this, or I don't really, or I could do that. One of the questions, and so here's one of the questions that I noticed, that they don't like it when they say, how do you feel about this job? And somebody says, well, I can do that. They're often, no joke, this is what they want. I want to do that. That's what they want to hear from a possible employee. So maybe setting up, James, some of those key questions of, just simple questions that you're looking for within that employee. So, I think it weeds out some of the stuff. When I say stuff, like, I mean something else. Go ahead.
Right. Does this not remind you of us doing the interview panels at the NCO Academy together?
Yeah. And I
wish we had a binder, right?
Yes.
In the binder, we have questions, and these questions are geared to lead us a certain way. And we say, hey, you get 3 from this area, 3 from that area. And then let's think about the panel. The first sergeant is in there. He has a vote.
Yeah.
The chief of training maybe is in there, right? The master instructor, the bearded ninja is in there.
The man.
The branch chief is in there.
Yeah.
You have me in there. So you have one of the course instructors and an evaluator in there. And we all have a say in that hire.
Yeah.
Although I was wrong about the one kid I said was too young, and he ended up doing his whole 3 years there and does eventually go work with the bearded ninja. But I was wrong. I said he was too young as a leader to be in that job, and he proved me wrong. Because the bearded ninja don't just pick anybody.
No. He's very selective. And did that, and can we look at that and say, hey, did we get it wrong sometimes? Yeah, you're not going to get it perfect every time. one of the things I wish I could have changed about this would have been like doing, I don't mind doing the panel thing, but maybe a one-on-one type conversation too. Like a one-on-one conversation, sometimes you can feel people out a little bit more than if they're in a group, right? But I don't want to negate the panel type situation either, because you may think, you're asking a question and I'm getting information from your question and I never even thought about your question. You know what I mean? So there's so much involved.
Or you may interpret it differently. I may interpret the answer to being this, and you're saying, no. But what he's really saying to me is this. And I'm like, I can see that. And that's the discussions. When we did it, the candidate walks out and we have a discussion as a group, right?
Yes.
That's why. That's the type of, which I think it actually leads into number 5 a little bit, that hold this panel, the hiring panel at the academy.
This is the one that I would say I agree with the most that we were able to do in that setting. I think our onboarding of new hires was top notch. Like we got people prepared to take on that role, right? And part of it was by sending them through the class that you were an instructor for. The Bearded Ninja was a big part of developing and making a whole thing. To me, that was the number one thing. Let me read through this and then let's discuss that, because that's important, really. All right, new hire onboarding is considered as one of the most important parts of talent management. During onboarding, employees need to get a very good understanding of what their jobs will entail and what their specific duties and responsibilities will be. Proper employee communication is crucial at this stage, as it helps create a memorable onboarding experience. Welcoming new hires, introducing them, and connecting to the rest of the workplace is crucial if you want to help your employees feel welcomed and accepted by their peers and higher ups. Additionally, you want to ensure that all of your new hires have access to all the important company information, updates, and documents needed to do their jobs successfully in this phase. You need to give your best to set your new employees for success, yet over 30% of employees do not get such treatment. All right, we can hit those stats in a minute, Ed. To me, I don't know any other organization that was doing what we had going on there. Now, this was not my idea. That I don't know how. You were a part of this building, but if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there like a checklist that was created within the instructor course type situation for those coming to us that they had to like kind of hit?
Had to hit those benchmarks. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Right. God, I hate to give it any credit. So my former partner, JC, did a good job of helping to develop to like get them to do PRT, to get them to do, because when we went through, we didn't have to do those things.
Nope.
We didn't have to do them there, but we had to do them once we got to our section, right? Mm-hmm. So he did a good job of taking the new potential candidates in, developing that training, giving that training, and evaluating them on that training. And that's the last time I'll give him that credit. But no, he did a good job with that. But the onboarding was, and it was fluid. That's what I liked about it. Because when we saw a space, again, we talked about you and the Bearded Ninja in my conversations, and that's the type of stuff that would get flushed out in those conversations. Is, well, what do you think about we do this? And then next thing you know, we're like, well, let's try it next class. Let's give it a whirl. And so that was a good thing. I thought the onboarding is very important.
It is.
Because, there's nothing worse than getting there and they'll be like, all right, you're on burgers. And you're like, but what goes on the burger? Like, how do I make it?
Well, there's a chart right here. You just got to follow the chart. Bun, cheese, lettuce, tomato. No.
There's this picture that Steve wrote.
Yeah.
Just follow that. And you're like, is that a pickle or is that a cucumber? What is that? And it's like, the onboarding helps you avoid that stuff, right?
No, you know what? And this is what was key that you all built within that, is it standardizes things, right? It's saying this is the standard within our organization. We need you to meet this. We want your talent, but we also need you at our level of what we're looking for. And it helps standardize it. Something else I wrote down here is everyone got the same info to start off, right? So everyone received this info like through this checklist of things that they had to accomplish during that period. Like, for instance, what I thought was kind of cool is not everyone that went through the instructor course had to do all these things. Like there were people there that you guys were teaching that were going on to be instructors at, like, say, the air assault school or the medic school or stuff like that. They didn't have to do all those things. However, if it was somebody going through your course that was going to become one of our instructors, they had to do those extra things. They had to read those policy letters. They had to understand the standardization of grading. Like that, to me, that was probably one of the quintessential pieces that helped me when you all had the grading rubric out there. And let's say it is PRT. You all were out there and you were going over this grading rubric with them, and everybody was receiving the same information. So it's like, all right, this is the standard. Don't go above, don't go beyond, don't go underneath. Just stay within these parameters. And I think that helped.
No, I did think that program was a lot of heartache when I was the new person. It was much better once I was the facilitator for the instructor course.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at some stats here, Ed. 66% of people that were surveyed said their employer provided clear communication about the things needed to know during the first week on the job. I would agree that, like, within the first week of people showing up in our organization at the time, they knew what was expected of them. And you could almost kind of tell, like, if they had worry in their face or not. Like, it was one of those things I often seen. 67% felt their responsibilities were well defined. So it's basically, I know what my roles and responsibilities are, and I came into it and such. Let's see here. 67% also said employers made it easy to communicate during the hiring process. That literally is just being able to reach you. You answer my questions, I answer your questions. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's not, here's your job, go do it. That's not right. No. 70%, and this is the last one here, 70% said their employer made it easy to complete new hire paperwork. So, and I think that's one of the things we also did was we walked the dog on what was required and how to complete things. Rubrics, for instance, like just how to fill this out, how to properly do the counselings, how to properly put this stuff in the grade books, all that stuff. Go ahead.
Well, even then, when we did our paperwork, right, like during our in processing, it was like, okay, go to this page. The header is this.
Yeah.
You need to fill out this, and this, because it is frustrating. Because you see, we love in our organization acronyms, there's 8 different acronyms for LSA, and you see acronyms on this form, and you're like, I don't know what it is. I've been in the Army 17 years. I don't know what that is. And they, that's this, it means this.
Yep.
Just look here, you'll find it. So I thought that was excellent. We did that too for the actual in processing piece.
Absolutely. So hey, let's talk about adjusting your employee communication strategy.
All right, let's talk about it. Employee communication is one of the main pillars of every successful talent management strategy. Today, employees want to be well informed about the relevant updates going on within their organization. The current situation has taught us all about the true value of proper communication in the workplace, as it is the only way to ensure employee engagement, productivity, and safety. Even when we're physically not together, employees want their managers to be better communicators and create better connections within their team, as well as among teams from different departments. So this, in the late 90s, I was out in the military and I was part of the cult that is Walmart. And
oh, you were a Walmart employee?
I was. And
no
the meeting,
way.
They had these meetings when you do the chant. Have you ever heard the chant? Give me a
never.
W, give me an A. And then the little hyphen is like a squiggly, and you go like that there. Anyway, so that was the cult part. But they would put out sales for me the previous day. They would put out, like, if there was a safety concern, hey, let's make sure we're wearing steel toes. And if we're not wearing steel toes, they had these like caps, put on the toe caps. So that was your opportunity in a face-to-face environment to put out information. Hey, it's B. Rye's birthday. Wish B. Rye a happy 40th birthday today, as you see him around the store, right? And a lot of other like basic information, loss prevention. Hey, this is what we're tracking. But they would put this stuff out at the beginning of your shift. And then if you were there for a shift change in the morning shift, because this one wasn't a 24-hour at the time, you had to go so you could do the stupid squiggly chant.
I think you like it. By the way, I'm watching you in the video doing your squiggly. I mean, I would like to see the full version, but
I got it from Sal on Impractical Jokers. He does his little dance. He gets loose. Anyway, I have not had anything other than water to drink today. So those are ways that you can effectively communicate with your team. But then nowadays we got all this other stuff, Brian. I get a safety, our safety Steve dude sends out an email every Friday to everybody in the organization. Hey, these are the road closures in the local populace. This is where the protest is going to be. So for us, then we have that, right? Then we share that information with our families. And now his sphere of influence just went from us to us and our families, to us and our families and their friends. And now, you know, I'm not even in the camera no more. It's like his sphere. So those are other ways to communicate where you can't be face to face, but it does bring a sense of belonging to an organization, and it's important. And our big stat here is 85% of employees said they're most motivated when management and leadership offer regular updates on company news. Yeah, it goes back to the Walmart cult and their profit sharing and their profit they made the day before.
Yeah,
we were projected to make, you know, $100,000 yesterday, but we made $125,000, and it's because of this team here. And I'm like, yes, it's because of me stacking dog food that we made that money. So that's where that goes. That's where it's important, Brian.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is refreshing too, because what happens is if somebody's making cogs, right, and they're just moving cog from one spot to another, cog from one spot to another, they don't see the bigger picture, right? Especially as a new hire, you're just doing this repetitive movement, or you're just doing this paperwork, or whatever it is.
Yes.
However, when you're understanding the why are we doing this? What's our company's, you know, you're going to learn the vision, the mission, all this stuff, all the things we talked about before. However, it's like, so how is it that what I'm doing is affecting this? And it's good to know those things through something. So there's always the good news and the bad news too. One of the things, I don't know if you subscribe to it. I get, and it's not, I don't look forward to, I actually don't like seeing these. It's from the safety center with us. And it's like the soldier deaths, right? Like accidents, stuff like that. And I get that email and I see that every time. And what does that do for me? As say a senior leader? Well, it helps me kind of look and evaluate, hey, X, Y, and Z is what's causing these issues across our force. How can I protect our soldiers from these massive safety violations or something like that, right? You know, it's also hey, we were able to accomplish, I mean, another version, not that particular, but another version of the communication is we were able to accomplish X amount of work. And it's good to know that Snuffy was able to support us by getting us all the supplies we needed. And he was a key asset to that. So it's communicating those things instead of just saying, all right, just go to work. Like those are not the things that help breed talent management. So how does what's the so what of this? The idea is when you bring somebody on board, the first thing you do is update them on the newest information.
What's happening? Yeah.
What's happening? What is your brand creating within your organization? So, number 7, Ed, we're going to go is continuously investing in employee engagement. Who doesn't want their employees to be more engaged? Which organizations don't want their employees to be more motivated and productive? We all want that to happen. This is why the strategies and initiatives around employee engagement make a vital and ongoing part of talent management. As higher employee engagement results in higher business profitability. It is not surprising that organizations continuously invest in initiatives that can improve engagement. Team leaders and managers are the ones that account for more than 70% of the variance in employee engagement. 70%. And employees say that they are most motivated when their managers regularly share company updates. Therefore, they should have clear strategies around how to improve it. One of the most effective ways to do so is by performing a continuous employee communication and performance management. So what they have here, Ed, is 5 ways to boost digital workplace productivity with internal communications. One is sharing knowledge. The other one's facilitate innovation, focus on problem solving, encourage disagreement. That's one I like that one. And then engage employees. So I just want to hit upon like internal with the facilitate innovation. Internal communication enables employees to brainstorm with each other. I was doing some research recently for one of my classes, and it was dealing with how some companies, what they do is they actually set aside 20%. They tell, and I want to say like Google's one of them and Apple's one of them. They set aside 20% of the time that they're at work. So for instance, if I'm working an 8-hour day, 20% of my day is set aside for allow me to be innovative, to come up with a new idea, to do whatever I want. And what they said is that 20% of that time has equaled out to like 60%, 60 to 70% of their new ideas that they roll out the next year, the year after that. So by allowing, like, so, hey, you got to do your work, like 8-hour day, 20% of that is what? Like 15 minutes, like an hour and some change or something like that, or 2 hours. I have to do that. I'm not very good with math. Anyways, no, but they set aside that time and they get to work on these things that they are interested in. There you go. 2 hours, 40 minutes, you said? Yeah. So if you got time to set it, just 2 hours and 40 minutes of your time to work on whatever you want at work to better the organization, whatever. I mean, that's important. And that's, to me, that's just one of those ways to kind of boost that. That helps with new hires, because who wouldn't mind going to an organization and working in an organization that says, hey, listen, we get time to work on these other things too.
Yeah.
Change the world. And
you doing that. That's a bit of innovation on your part too, right? Like to empower them to be able to do that. You don't see that in all companies, all organizations. So that's something that you are doing that's innovative as well.
Yeah. Exit. The next one, I think we're going to skip. I don't want to do number 8. We can move on to number 9. I think number 9 is a little bit more important than number 8. Number 8, I don't completely agree with that. I put it in here, but I'm like, I think it's a little much. What do we got here about number 9, my man?
All right, let's go. Ensure employee learning and development. Another big function of talent management is employee learning and development. For millennials and Gen Z workers, one of the most important criteria when evaluating their employers is the ability to grow and learn new things, lifelong learning. Therefore, employers should have a strategy around upskilling and reskilling their employees. Not only will this satisfy your employees' needs, but it will also help you close the skill gap that most organizations struggle with today. The best way to achieve this is through knowledge sharing among your employees. This is big, because as I'm starting to look into like different jobs, Brian, I've noticed this a lot on LinkedIn as I'm doing the job seeker thing, is companies will say, hey, we offer, this training benefit. It could be college. It might not even be related to the job. There are organizations that are now offering tuition assistance, right? Of course, they're going to tell you, hey, these are the other skills that we offer you. We offer you this training or that training, and it does make a big difference. And it's funny because in the back of their mind, they know I'm making this guy or gal more marketable. I'm giving them stuff that maybe they're going to leave my company. But if I've invested in them and I've sold the idea of the company to them, if I've done steps 1 through 8 already with them, then I'm not as concerned about them using what I'm giving them education wise to lead my company. So we do have a supporting stat here. Supporting stat. We should have done some kind of like effect. In a company with 100 employees with an average salary of $60,000 annually, each of them wastes at least 5 minutes per day looking for answers to common questions. How much money does the company waste because of this? Answer is $62,000 annually.
That's another employee.
That's another. Yeah, that's absolutely 100%. Yeah, it is. Good catch, Brian.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important. Make sure they understand the job and offer them opportunities to continue to grow and to continue to be lifelong learners within your organization.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things we kind of get right with our particular career field is people get an opportunity to go and do other things, learn new stuff to help. I mean, for instance, we have different types of programs that pay for things like the Lean Six Sigma. We have different programs that help pay for like learning how to be a nutrition. Like these are things that are real. It's called the Cool program. You've probably heard of it. But on top of that, we also have like they're different schools. We have the leadership schools that people have to go through. And it's not just on the enlisted side, it's also on the officer side and warrant officer sides where you go to these schools and it's if you go to the school, it's not, I've heard this quite a few times here. It doesn't mean that school is going to make you a better leader. It's just giving you some tools to help you along,
Add into the bag.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's tools. And you tend to make connections. You tend to understand
that's the most important part.
Oh, it is. And that's one of the things I've really come to enjoy here is even when you make those connections, you see specific talents and other people that may help you down the road that you could call upon, or they can call upon you. And doing that. So let's think about this. If an organization, a civilian organization is creating these different types of, like, you can go to a leadership type course, or you can do it. And there's other people from other companies in those courses. At what point? I'm not saying you cherry pick people to come to your organization. However, let's say a job comes up and you've got this employee who's really happy with all the program and stuff that you've provided them, the pay, how you communicate, the way you treat, to get a chance to go to schools and do things to increase your knowledge, become better, and to possibly earn more money. Who's to say that individual doesn't reach out to somebody who was in that same class that they saw talent that they know they could fill within your organization? That's what you're talking about. That's that referral, and that's that talent management by people who are within the organization and help on that brand.
Or after your post-military, somebody in that school you're with right now, Brian, could help you in your post-military career. Maybe they're going to buy a gym. Maybe you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you, a friend of mine now, Sergeant Major, he's getting out, he's retiring. He wants to intern at some gyms. And I think I talked to you about maybe doing this with Jimmy Summer, who we had as a guest way back in the day.
Yeah.
But some Sergeant Major there, he may know, be like, you know what? Hey, Battle. Hey, this is what I want to do. I'd like to intern. I know you got a gym in Nashville. Like, you think it's possible? And then over a beer, talking about their days at the academy and class, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just that network is there that could help you post career. It doesn't have to just be a military hookup, but it is important. I mean, networking to me is always, I learned that pretty early, and I was fortunate. Networking has been very important in my career. And it's just in your overall development, it's crucial.
Yeah, it is. And that just falls along that lifelong learning. You brought it up a second ago. That's what it is, but at the same time, like, I think it helps the supervisors or the employers themselves if they can recognize those who do want to pursue that lifelong learning type situation, and then those who don't. And well, I mean, frankly, those who don't, do they really want to grow? Do they want to, what are they going to want to provide for the organization? You know what I mean? Like, if you're somebody who's just settled for, I don't know if you're the right fit. Maybe it's not. And I think that kind of I think this is a big part right here about the whole offboarding of people. And that's number 10 that we're going to hit real quick. And then I think we're going to go right into some talent management sub functions that we can kind of just talk about after that. So we'll go to number 10 and then we'll jump over the sub functions. Don't neglect employee offboarding. Even though employees exit and even though employee exits are not our favorite talent management practices, we need to learn that how to make their experience as positive as possible and learn something out of it. Whenever you have an employee leaving your organization, you should give your best to learn about the specific reasons for the decision to leave. You can do so in a form of an exit interview or an anonymous survey. So that's one of those things, James, that I wish we did at the Academy. I wish we did exit interviews on all of them. And there's some of them.
Good scenario for it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's some of them that we would take with a grain of salt. It's like, okay, I got you. You knew what I'm talking about. But
some of them were a bit of a spark plug.
Well, they were bitter. Okay. They were just bitter in life and stuff like it. And I think there were some of them that I really feel like we could have gained an understanding of what we could have provided as an organization. And that's what that is. It's like, what, I mean, in a sense, I look at this as making them wish they're not leaving. In a sense, what is it, what is it that we have, that we went through? And I think that's important because at the same time, that person may be leaving your organization. Your reputation is still on their mind. And when they do meet somebody, once again, the referral piece, who may fit a talent within your organization, they may reference them to you. That's important.
Or if they're, they could reference them away from you if you don't take these steps to do, to have some proper time management. So it's also important. You don't really think about offboarding. When you think about like, how can I improve the talent management organization? Offboarding is not something that comes to mind, right? Because it signifies the end. It's over. They're leaving. They've quit. You fired them, whatever the case may be. But you don't, it's probably overlooked in a lot of organizations for the value it can have by doing an interview on the way out. I can't remember where, but I do remember some place that did exit interviews, but I do not remember where it was. But we do them when we go to school. You're going to do a critique of your instructors before you leave.
You are correct. That actually isn't. That's a form of an exit interview. That's a form.
Yeah, that's an exit interview. So,
and I think it's critical, say on the employee, like as the student or the employee, to give critical information or critical creative information. Like, hey, this is what did work for me. This is what didn't work for me. This is why. Instead of, because we've seen it before. You've seen it on surveys before. You've seen it on different things where it's just people are just being really vulgar and not caring and stuff. And it's like,
Sergeant such and such is the greatest cadre ever.
Yeah, we saw that too. Yeah. So really, James, when we go through this idea of talent management, right? And there's other things, there's other areas that I want to explore, and we're going to do that again in a later show, just not right now, about like talent management and how we do it, because really it comes down to, finding the right skills. This was really about like, how do we attract the right talent? How do I, as a supervisor, as an employee, as an employer, as a senior leader, how do I attract the right talent to fill the positions I need that are gonna, they're the best for the job? Because we can also talk about another side of things, like evaluating their talents, understanding how to communicate those talents. How will they fit into the organization? Like that's a big thing too, right?
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
How somebody fits in that organization. They may be like that cog that helps everything, or they may be that screwdriver that's in those gears that just totally sends it in disarray. You know what I mean? And I've seen that before. So we had those the six main areas to kind of hit upon, and we can go either in depth or we can just kind of hit the wave tops on this one. Six talent management sub functions is talent acquisition, talent onboarding, talent performance management, talent learning and development, talent communication, and then talent offboarding. Like when you think about those, like what are some of the things that you would say, because you've done, this is what I like, is your experiences from the civilian side and the military side. What are some key things that you have experienced in your time in both sides with one of those 6?
Well, I said it earlier because what I've noticed here, Brian, and I don't know if you're losing your focus here because you're working so hard over there at the schoolhouse, but we've talked about these 6 just in different terms.
Yeah.
We've talked about all 6 of these. For me, the talent onboarding. So I'll go back to me with the Walmart, right?
Get your wiggle.
But they did have a series of modules that you had to complete when you first got hired. You got 30 days. I know that AAFES has a series of modules, and are some of them elementary? Yes. The lifting with your legs, not with your back. That's there's modules on proper lifting, but it's prepping you for that job, and it's helping protect the organization, because you can't say, hey, they didn't give me any training on how to properly lift, and now I got this bad back, and I want to do a medical thing. And so I think the talent onboarding is really important. Again, I've been to jobs where it's like, make a burger, see you later. And it's like, huh? Even in the Army, in the military, I've had it where you get to an organization, they say, all right, well, this is your job. And you're like, and what am I to do? And it's just like, just prep slides, proofread slides and fix them and get the slideshow ready for this briefing. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, that seems a little basic. So yeah, talent onboarding, Brian. I've had a lot of experience with that. And, I think we beat communication to death over the course of our 100 plus episodes. So yeah. What about you, Brian? What are your thoughts on one of these?
So mine really, mine kind of dives into the whole talent learning and development. I feel I have such a strong attraction to that. Because, for instance, if I know somebody is truly engaged and want to become a better individual, and I can help feed that in the long run, I feel as if though I'm building, or I'm helping build that individual who gets to take my spot down the road, or gets to be my peer, or, or maybe even become my boss. I don't know. When I leave, and, all this, like, there's so much involved with it. I think what we do is different from what normal civilian companies do. For instance, you and I, we move from one organization to another organization to another organization, and we may move laterally, we may move up, we may actually move down. It just depends upon what that organization needs. And with that, we get to see that I'm trying to help somebody grow and take over for me so I can go on. And that, to me, like when I have a soldier who wants to go to a school and whatnot, sometimes the question I have first is, are they doing this because they want to increase their knowledge and become better? Or are they doing this to get promoted? Or are they doing this to do this? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking for those things that's going to help. And sometimes I ask that question. What is the true reason you want this school? You know, and I personally, I respect the honest answer. And a lot of times when you get that honest answer, well, I need the promotion points to get promoted, stuff like that. Like, I respect that.
I mean, it's the nature of the beast too.
It is. However, at the same time, I like to follow that up though with all right, so I understand that, but what are you going to do with this new skill? Or what do you think you can do with this new skill? They don't absolutely know, because they don't know what that school is about or what they're going to learn in that school. I just want to see if they're using some creative thought to kind of say, oh, you know what? I do need to use this for the better, the good of the organization, because the organization is paying for me to go do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to say it's a tick for tat, but, it is though, It
is kind of, and it's funny you say it. So there was this course, Brian, I got into this job about 2.5 years ago, and it is a NATO school for host nation support. I wanted this school. And things happened. COVID happened. They had a civilian come in. It was part of her job description. So I was like, you know what? You go, I'll go next time.
Right.
So now fast forward, by the time I got the opportunity to go, it was February of this year. And I'm like, it really isn't helping the organization for me to go now when I'm leaving in September.
Right.
It helps me. It makes my resume look better. And my thought process was, and I didn't allow them to say no. Also, I think the Kevin Cruz thing, I said no because I was like, who would sign for me to go spend, 7 days in a nice hotel in a really touristy part of Germany in the mountains for a course that's only going to benefit the organization for about 5 months. And so I didn't even submit a packet.
Yeah.
So it kind of falls into that, right?
Yeah. But it shows your selflessness too,
Yeah.
in a sense,
I really wanted that class.
Oh, I know you did. I totally get it. As we wrap this up, James, one of the things I want to think about is the so what of this entire piece about the talent management. So we didn't concentrate on like finding skills and evaluating skills and performance evaluations and all that stuff. We're going to hit upon those another time in another show. We may even invite somebody on to help us with that. However, what I'm trying to get with this so what is often employees, employers, supervisors, subordinates, even in senior leaders of the military, we lose focus on the individual that we're bringing in. We're losing that focus. We're thinking about, what are they providing for us? Instead, as an influencer, as a leader, as an, instinctive influencers, even, we need to think about what are we providing for them to be able to provide for us? You know what I mean? Like, so there's that rolling back and forth, like, hey, this is what I'm giving you. What are you giving back? This is what I'm getting, and you don't always have to say it that way either, though. You could say, here, this is what we can offer you. This is what our does for us.
I think from the perspective of the organization, you just talked about it when you're talking about school. We do it in the perspective of the organization when we say, I'm going to give you this school. What are you going to use that to do for me?
Yeah.
But we don't say, I'm going to give you this school. What's that going to do for you enough?
That's a good point. That's a great point.
I think that we need to have more focus on, I'm going to invest in you. I know I'm going to get something out of it for this organization, but what's it do for B-Rye?
Yeah.
By the way, that's your rap name now.
Yeah. I'm going to be, it's kind of like B-Rabbit, but I'm not as good as him. So
yeah, absolutely where I got it from. No.
Yeah. Hey, great talk, man. We kind of hit some wave tops on like basically talent management from that different type of perspective, and kind of tips on how you can go about your talent management a little bit better. I brought this up to you, and we're obviously probably going to dive into our next episode. We'll probably dive into another like leadership lessons from a war situation or whatever. However, to me, this was like just one of those areas that I don't think is focused enough to really understand, or it is. And then some other places just they're losing sight of it, and they maybe need to kind of think about it. And this could go like I want to like if I were to involve that Sergeant E5 in the United States Army, how does that affect that individual? This conversation. Well, to me, it's what is that Sergeant E5 doing to increase the capabilities of his squad, his team, or her squad or her team? What are they doing? To grow, because just as well as I do, we don't get to pick our employees. They're assigned to our organization, and then they're assigned to our section or squad or whatever. And then it's our job for the development to seek out their talents to I had a guy, James, it's a quick story. I had a guy who I was a platoon sergeant at the time. He was one of my section sergeants. I didn't feel as if though his talents were being used properly. Did he have a good knowledge on the aircraft? I felt it was good. Mm-hmm. My problem was, lost me again, didn't you? So there you are. They're looking around. No, so my problem is I had a problem with his management on doing aircraft tasks. I didn't feel like that was his talent. However, that guy could network like nobody's business. Mm-hmm. That was his talent. And it still is to this day. He'll probably listen because I know he listens. He'll probably think like, I didn't really know about that, but that's what his talent is. And I sought that in him because I thought, man, this guy can really network. I need this guy on my side, finding the resources I need, finding the right people to fill the position. I don't need him to manage the actual aircraft maintenance. I got a guy for that. I need a guy for this.
I mean?
But that's what that is. And so if you equate it to that junior leader, that junior within the organization, that's what they're starting, evaluating, looking, understanding, because as they increase up the food chain, so to speak, they're going to have to do that at that higher level of bringing on the right person. If I have 2 staff sergeants, and once again, this is the Army, this isn't civilian, but it still relates. I have 2 staff sergeants. They both have the same schools. They have the same work experience, but I happen to notice one is just able to communicate better with individuals through evaluations. I think I want the guy that can communicate a little bit better if they're the same. You know what I mean? So it's just looking at it that way.
Well, all things being equal. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, with that, do you have anything else on talent management before we dive into the exit interview or the offboarding of the show?
Yeah, I think we're ready to offboard. I do want to share something though.
Go.
So been watching a lot of Amazing Race. It's my thing. So I decided to, since we're doing this from a remote location and we did not name it, that I'm going to challenge our listeners, who I'm going to tell them how to do it. So I'm going to tell you that I'm in a place with a primary color fortress. They've hosted the Olympics. You can only get here from Frankfurt, Germany with a layover. So you have to fly 2 flights of legs. And then you just figure it out from there. That's not a lot to go. Oh, and there's a very famous bridge that's just significant to my degree. All right.
That's going to be a tough one, man. Like, you're going to have somebody probably do some research. What's up?
Yeah, that's the point. And then when they have that research, Brian, they can check us out on all social media platforms at Instinctive Influencers, at 101 Influence. They can check us out. Leave your answer on our closed Facebook page.
Yeah.
You answer, and then our busy staff will be sure to get back to you and admit you to the Facebook page. You can go to 101 Influence on Instagram, as well as check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up, answer the question. Primary color fortress, famous bridge, hosted the Olympics, 2 flights to get here from Frankfurt, Germany. And the bridge is very significant in my world.
No, absolutely. Hey, man, thanks for being able to tune in from your secret location that people got to figure out. I know we both have to get off here and get to work, because you got to finish your paper thing. I got to finish my paper from my school. Most of my stuff's up on this board behind me, because I like to plot it out. Hey, listeners, thank you so very much for listening and being a part of the show. And let us know what you think. If you have some ideas, something that you want us to try to get into, just let us know. But with that, got to end it off. I am Brian.
And I am James.
And it's been the Instinctive Influencers podcast. We thank you so very much for listening. Have a great day.
Well. We pulled it off.